And now we've gotten word that Edwin Diaz appears to be out for the entire season, a torn patellar tendon in his right knee. This was certainly devastating news for Edwin Diaz, devastating news for the New York Mets. Let me turn things over right now to you, Andy Martino. And was this the news the Mets were expecting, unfortunately, to get today?
Yes, it was, Gary. They did some preliminary x-rays at the ballpark last night. Actually, there was a team official and a team doctor at the ballpark in Miami after the game. So there was a fair amount of clarity. By the time I went to bed after doing some reporting, probably around 12:30 a.m. or so, the Mets had a pretty good idea that it was a serious knee injury and that the patellar tendon was what they were expecting. But, of course, it wasn't yet confirmed by the MRI, which Diaz had around noon here today, Thursday. So really, there were a couple. It was all bad when they went to bed last night. But the scenarios were partial tear, rehab, come back late in the season, or rupture and surgery. They figured it would be the latter, and indeed it was.
So, according to Billy Epler, 8 months is what this recovery is going to be for Edwin Diaz. He said some players come back in rare cases at 6 months, and they're not going to update this for a long time. But Edwin Diaz, for all intents and purposes, his season is over, Steve, before it has begun.
Yeah, and Gary, I mean, there's no way to sugarcoat this. For the player, for the team, for the 2023 season, I mean, this is a devastating blow to the chances for this team to do what it wants to do, and that's to win a World Series. I mean, you can make the argument that he is the most irreplaceable player on that roster. I mean, there's probably, 5 guys on the roster who you lose them for the season, and that changes the fortunes dramatically. Diaz is right at the top of that list. You're looking at, Alonso, Lindor, one of the 2 big starters. But, again, given what the Mets have gotten out of him, we're expecting out of him, it is an impossibly devastating blow to put into context. And so, yeah, you heard Billy Epler talk about the 5 high leverage relievers, and there are options back there. And David Robertson has some experience with this after Mariano Rivera, right? But David Robertson, Ottavino, Raley, Drew Smith, none of them are Edwin Diaz. Very few are in the game.
That's exactly right, Steve. I mean, not only what he has done in that bullpen over the course of the last year, the excitement. He struck out more than half of the batters he faced last year with that fastball and that wicked slider, and we saw that on display again last night for his team. And again, he just came off the mound, gestured like Edwin Diaz does after a victory, and then there was that scrum around him, and we really couldn't see exactly what happened until his teammates started to call for people to come out and help him, and he was on the ground, and that certainly did appear to be very serious. And Jerry, when you have a guy who's this important, and listen, when the Mets decided to sign him to this 5-year, $102 million deal, he was one of the first moves the Mets made this offseason because, as Steve said right there, the value he has to this team. So what do you do without Edwin Diaz? How do you absorb a blow like this and move forward at this point?
First and foremost, man, I feel for him as a person, as a player. It's tough. Like that rehab process, that's some of the lowest points in my life, let alone my career. So heart goes out to him. As far as what do you do in the bullpen? Well, everybody knows that the bullpen is volatile anyway, and you can have guys emerge. Drew Smith could emerge. They could piece together and still be very successful. I don't want to downplay the loss of Edwin Diaz because, Steve mentioned it before. He probably was the biggest key to what this team could do in the near future because of just how big of a statement he makes at the end. Just knowing that the 9th inning is locked down creates a lot more breathing room. But it doesn't mean that the 9th inning can't still be locked down. It just won't be as smooth, as fun, and as at least amount of heart palpitations involved. There's going to be some ups and downs, but this team is still built to win, could still win this year, but it is a huge loss.
What does it do, Jerry? And listen, we've heard so many players, and I think Adam Ottavino said to me at one point not too long ago, he said when he would come into the game, we would all stand there and watch the Timmy trumpet. The music started. He comes in. It became an event. So from a psyche standpoint, Jerry, as a player, how do you absorb this news today?
It's tough. It's going to be tough for a few days, but the show goes on. That's the thing. Baseball keeps moving. Nobody's bigger than the game itself. It's a big loss. Like Edwin Diaz, as far as a baseball standpoint, is must-watch TV. I mean, it crossed over, into pop culture with the walkout, and I was looking forward to seeing some of the big things that the media side of the New York Mets had planned with his entrance, that kind of stuff. We're going to miss out on that. But baseball does move on. I don't care who you are. Mike Trout was missing. Shohei Ohtani missed some time. Baseball moves on. This team is still in spring training, so they will be able to identify what they need to do. You got to trust in the front office and the players that they have involved. I wouldn't be surprised if a move gets made, but baseball goes on. You mourn your teammate. You reach out to him. You talk about it, but you put your head down and you got a job to do, and you get ready for this season.